you're here! Finally!
Is something...
Monsieur Neuvillette and Lady Furina, they seemed...
Like I said, I've already explained everything!
And yet the problem has not been properly solved. There is little space for excuses between us. It is not my intention to offend you, but please, tell me where you stand. You are the Hydro Archon Focalor, are you not? Look at this. This is a list of the victims from the recent...
You mean...
We did not arrive in time to avert this disaster, and I will not have it happen. I will say this once more. You must tell me everything you know. Yesterday, I found 3 stone slates in some ancient ruins near Poisson.
Seriously? You're questioning... But you found them in some ancient ruins, you say?
That's correct, which is why I came to ask you some questions. There should have been 4 slates, but one of them was missing. The other 3 featured... The second of these slates depicts the previous Hydro Archon Egeria kneeling before a floating island in the sky, as if confessing something.
I don't! I've never seen...
I'll ask you again. Do you really have no information? My deciphering of the slates indicates that the Hydro Archon Egeria once had...
All gods don't have the same secrets, you know. She was herself and I'm me. I understand your concerns, but...
Forgive me for saying this now, Lady Furina, but I have long known of your various secret investigations into certain... There are several indications that you have been investigating the prophecy. This is not strange in itself, considering that you are the Hydro Archon. But it is strange that you should also claim to not know any of Egeria's secrets. You have never been as superficial as you have presented yourself to be, nor are you a fool.
Well, since you know about my secret investigations, then you should know I'm actually there's no point questioning or suspecting me. You're the Eudix, but you're still my subordinate. You should be following my lead. Just trust in me. You're Archon, and do as I say. Never mind whether you can truly convince yourself to or not. It'll all turn out fine. That's all I have to say. We do not Oh! The opera's about to start.
Did Furina not notice us standing by the door? Wonder what's up with her. She was smiling. Huh. She did...
I assume you've been outside for a while now?
Oh! You noticed! Seems Furina didn't even realize...
She was in a great panic, though I cannot discern the reason. Our discussion reached impasses time and again. Still, I do not understand. Dialogue is the basis for understanding, so why did she keep refusing to engage? Everyone in her inner circle has noticed that she is hiding some secret. The issue is her attitude. I fear that we may have to create a situation in which she will have no choice but to speak.
Oh? Like what?
Normally, people will only reveal the truth when standing trial. Perhaps we must have the Hydro Archon experience just...
But Furina's seen so many trials, and she's really good at dodging questions. How do we make sure that she won't...
We will need to consider this thoroughly, join forces with various parties, and then do... If at all possible, I would prefer... This may be cruel to her, but all Fontaine is in crisis. The information a god possesses is too precious. But who will lend us their aid to...
Well, that's everyone, huh? Speaking of which, it was pretty smart of you to think of hiding here.
Poisson was just involved in a disaster, so it's presently devoid of people. That naturally...
And here you are drinking tea like it's the most natural thing in the world, huh?
That's what family should do. Sit...
It's nice to enjoy tea here, you know? Care for a cup?
Lend me your ears, everyone. Or perhaps one of you might like to start us off. How about you, friend?
Me?
Then, how about you, good...
I fear that I will cause the mood on this boat to become as somber as it is in cold.
Well then, I guess we're lucky we've got a local like me to organize things. Wonderful, the spotlight at last.
That was a little long-winded, don't you think?
Oh, you might be right. Anyway, to cut to the chase, our friend... As for what that is, well... let's start by saying that we'll be pooling our efforts together to create...
Oh? How
Well, it's just an expression, really. One that I just learned from Chlorand. And used on the spot. So, let's invite her to...
Huh? Didn't you say that you would be...
Oh, come now. Your work doesn't involve much public speaking, right? This is a good chance to practice. You might...
I see. And what does my boss say?
He is glad that you consider him your boss.
In that case, do any of you have experience hunting?
Not that I recall.
Fremine and I once used a wooden stick in a basket to catch wild rabbits when we were younger. As for Lynette,
I've also gone...
I'm afraid not. You may or may not have heard, but Fontaine once played host, though that was their name. They did not hunt animals, but rather various monsters left back. Today, Fontaine's monster population has already thinned greatly, so the hunters have blended back into society, taking up arms in other lines of work. A trap comprises of the following components: bait, a trigger, and a containment device. So, if we were to build a trap together, right now, what...
For me, I would prefer something basket-shaped. Pigeons and rabbits will see our line of work requires a deft hand, and we're some of the best in the industry, so you can count on our tech...
You used some of those techniques while moving the people of Poisson, didn't you? My subordinates mentioned that you even performed some magic for the bawling children.
Yes, and I even managed to gather some intelligence in the meantime.
I'm afraid I can't claim that as my strong suit. I prefer more stable methods, like placing bait in the water.
Calm and steady.
And I can be their assistant.
With discretion,
I'd probably use some sort of mechanical animal. Papa once bought me some small clockwork squirrels, mice, and such. When placed in the forest, they can... I remember that you liked those too, didn't you?
I did. And that would be a good way to go about it. If they're realistic enough, animals of the same kind will follow them all the way to the trap.
What about you, Monsieur Neuvillette?
I fear I do not have any related...
That makes sense. You usually solve problems but I do have one more question for you. If we were to create a trap now, how would you design it?
I would like for it to be effective, but bring no harm to the prey.
Kind, as always. However, our intention doesn't necessarily if we wanted to kill the prey in one strike, we would need a powerful implement. However, that also goes for prey that must be captured and safely contained.
Wait, why...
Only a hunter who's a true expert at subduing their prey can snare it without harming it.
So, are we going...
We hadn't thought of seeing ourselves as hunters. It kinda works, but maybe it's still not the best metaphor.
If our means of capturing and dealing with our prey is to put them on trial, but we shall require much more courage than any hunter to judge a god, a being who's...
Oh, so that's what...
That's Furina, right over there!
What was meant to happen did happen after all. Everyone's dead. I'm sorry. I'm so... Give up, Furina. I'm sorry, but what can I even do? Who's that?
Don't worry, Furina, it's just...
So, it is you, blonde traveler from another...
Furina, you were crying just now, weren't...
What do you mean, tear stains? Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were? They even dare to tout their Archon! I must teach them a lesson. I can just imagine their twisted... Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Marche Chaussee Phantom are freaking out right next to them, too.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Furina, those people seem to be after you.
They are... They're just... That's against the rules. I can't let them...
Furina just ran off! Quick, we have to catch up with... This should be the place, right? Hey, Furina! There's a good hiding spot over here. Quick, come to Paimon before the rest of them catch up.
What?
Hurry, they're almost here!
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted. I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed.
Yep, that's a good girl.
What's happening? The ground's shaking.
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the...
It can't be.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Nouvellette's made some emergency plans, so the evacuate...
Yeah, but the people of Poisson... It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for... I once had informants all over Tevat, searching for clues and feeding information back to me. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. Anything, but all my efforts proved to be futile. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way. Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. It would indeed. I've thought about giving up so many times. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart, but just now, it all became clear to me. I still don't have the right to come to terms as long as the final moment hasn't come. Don't worry. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden. Don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly let Fontaine fall to the wick?
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were actually...
Cher, that's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone. A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars yet. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage...
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the
So, this is what it is. Yes. You do not forget, however, that I am Focalor, the god of justice. The embodiment of justice.
May I interpret these words as your refusal to... In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through...
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up...
Paimon can't believe it.
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an...
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Furina, what is the meaning?
Shh! It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear, the raising of both hands is not...
Looking for excuses again.
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. I will admit that I've been running away. I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon to show you. I, Furina, will use this trial to show the world that this time, I applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous... Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine!
Woohoo!
Oh, now we're making...
Why does it feel like Furina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is taking this seriously this time.
All right, then. Who will be...
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Then... Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial begins. Just how much work did you do to force me onto this stage?
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the...
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect opportunity to... The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. A spark was all we need. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee. So, we arranged for a second group.
So, you mean... the ones who scout...
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than some...
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epiclese, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Areneas. Its cargo was an Archon. My thanks, Furina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an... Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct a giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water. It was a lot of work for all of...
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant...
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess Nervillette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may commence without a hitch.
Yes, that is correct.
Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most
Thank you.
As for you, traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived on—
Oh?
It's fine. It matters not. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial.
Sir Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial. According to her...
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too. Oh, let Paimon see. Isn't this... Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened ever since we stepped foot in Fontaine. So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use something from our journey as evidence for an argument.
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervylette. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and the lead actress of this performance, I still haven't even been... Of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god. However, you will need more than that to convict me.
That's true. But my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Furina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking—
Charge accepted. Lady Furina, do you plead guilty to... Lady Furina.
I plead not guilty. There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Furina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine.
Yeah, even though Lady Furina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going to—
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Furina can be super irresponsible, but
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they— See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will not have to face trial for making a
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? You have to not only refute Furina's claims, but also overturn the long-held beliefs of the—
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, and if I was not the Archon, then
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess and extend—
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's words against me.
A curse. I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might but in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a
You sensed it too, huh, Nervylette?
Lady Furina is actually...
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell...
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said. Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what humans cannot. That's why, for centuries, manifestations of my authority have— One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very—
tried to reference the Oratrice. But weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared Child to be guilty without—
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally—
Lady Furina, I will leave a reminder of your current circumstances while the court is in session. The principles of justice and the law you will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital information against the rules of the court.
I never thought you'd use—
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Furina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand, instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority—
The real Hydro Archon. It is true that I did not know why but the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally. And it has been— You can't argue that just because a divine
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the Oratrice.
My power as an Archon. There are many ordinary—
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield—
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people. Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone—
Isn't that?
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no power even still be called a—
It seems like nobody's buying Furina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone! I'm still the same Furina you knew, right? Please?
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has come—
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And then all of our ancestors? Ever since they were born?
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real— If you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their claim to be
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. Ugh. It has been established that all Fontanians can dissolve in water.
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate—
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you—
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, including those of some of my— So, Miss Furina, would you— If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching the seawater would have no effect on you. But, if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently, and choose the simpler path of admitting—
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many—
If Lady Furina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontanian like all the rest of us. Would she really dare to try?
Lady Furina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution, as it falls outside the realm of standard—
Well, of course he had to tell her that, but refusing to—
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word.
What's going on? Is she really planning to—
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Furina, you may—
What?
Hey! I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon! I'm nothing—
Miss Siegewin? If you're present, Miss Siegewin, please come forward and
Siegewin?
Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. That's—
Please announce the results of your evaluation.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Furina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation. She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans.
Thank you, Miss Seedwayne. Lady Furina.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't the—
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the— However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. We don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Furina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample and asked the head nurse to— It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used. Furina could have—
I can't believe... Listen to me, everyone! Please don't give me such cold and disdainful looks! Think about it! How can you conclusively prove that an Archon can't also be affected? Also, if I was really just a human, why... Please, everyone, anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds—
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think that—
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone who's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Furina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Furina is guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the... According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No. The Oratrice also displays a guilt.
Isn't that correct, then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is to be punished via the...
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought...
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court. And it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of...
Furina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to...
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current... Is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?